City of Boise's zoning code rewrite is in its final stages. If you don't know, a zoning code is how new buildings and developments are planned and approved. City leaders say this rewrite will help create a modern city for everyone. But critics say it will only bulldoze old neighborhoods to put up cramped apartments. Well, I talked to Boise's lead planner about those claims. Boise is short on housing.
We did a housing needs assessment a few years ago that said that the city needed to produce about 2,700 houses per year in order to keep up with demand, just to keep prices from going up. Well, we're not even close to that.
Tim Keene is the city's Planning and Development Services Director.
We hope that this ordinance will enable the kind of supply that Boise really needs, and a variety of houses.
Keene says the zoning code rewrite, which is in its potentially final draft, maps out the future design and development of the entire city. One of its themes is increasing density. That means more homes with smaller footprints.
It proposes increases in density that are very appropriate to Boise. This isn't dramatic changes.
But some people say these changes aren't just dramatic, but harmful. Their complaints are outlined in a flyer circulating online. It claims the code would reduce the amount of affordable housing by pushing for the redevelopment of the neighborhoods where you can already find the most affordable homes right now.
Well, this is the opposite of that. So for instance, we have a proposal to allow within our neighborhood slight density increases that are very appropriate and common in a place like North End. But in order to get the higher densities within that piece, you have to provide affordable units.
Another major criticism is that this new code would shut out existing neighbors from development meetings, so they would not be able to voice their concerns with a project going in next door. There is a truth to that. Keene says while the code would add a hearing examiner if a project aligns with the city's goals, it in fact would not have to go through a public hearing.
We're saying, hey, if you're doing something low density and surface parked, with a big parking lot and everything, then you have to go to the Planning and Zoning Commission. If you're doing what we want, which is something denser and pedestrian designed along a transit corridor, then you do not have to. There's all kinds of public process associated with the new ordinance, but to be clear, it is intending to make the things we want easier to do.
There's also a claim that the proposed code would allow for intrusive developments like retail in the middle of neighborhoods. That's also true as long as the store is no larger than 2,000 square feet and has hours limited to 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. The idea is to promote neighborhood markets so people wouldn't have to drive to all their shopping. The most serious claim is that the zoning code rewrite would drive up property values and rent. As we've noted numerous times on Growing Idaho, property values and rent are already spiking in Boise without this new code. Keene says the whole idea of this plan to increase density is to build where roads and utilities already exist, so residents don't have to pay to connect more and more subdivisions sprawling farther and farther out.
It's not inevitable that we become the next sprawling, traffic congested, unaffordable place. That's not inevitable. We can make different decisions, but we have to do them right now, because really the future is now in Boise when it comes to this.
Now, if you're like, more people in less space, where is everyone going to park? Well, this new code would also require actually less parking for single-family duplex, triplex, and fourplex units. The parking for multifamily and commercial building requirements would not change. The idea is that taking out that parking leaves more space for bike and walking paths to allow for more options to get around instead of just driving everywhere. You can read the whole draft of the zoning code rewrite for yourself. It is dense, but I'll put a link to it in this story online at ktvb.com. The draft is set to be heard by the Planning and Zoning Commission in public hearings starting April 24th.